Right now, as you're watching this, there are approximately 100,000 pieces of plastic circulating through your bloodstream. They're in your lungs, your liver, your brain. Yes, your brain. And the most disturbing part? Your body has no idea what to do with them. They're not food. They're not toxins. It can break down. They're synthetic invaders that evolution never prepared us for. And they're throwing a party in your organs. That's been going on for years. Welcome to the Plasticine, an age where humans are accidentally turning themselves into walking plastic hybrids. Every week, you consume about 5 grams of plastic. That's a credit card's worth of synthetic material, just casually making its way through your digestive system, like it owns the place. By the end of the year, you've eaten a dinner plate. By the time you're 80, you've consumed enough plastic to 3D print a Lego version of yourself. But where does all this plastic come from? Well, remember that water bottle you drank from this morning? As you twisted off the cap, thousands of microscopic plastic fragments fell into your water. That takeout container from lunch? When you scraped out the last bite with your fork, you added a garnish of polystyrene. Even that fancy tea bag surprise? It's often made of plastic mesh that releases 11.6 billion microplastic particles with every cup. Billion, with a B. These particles are incredibly small. We're talking 1 to 5,000 micrometers. To put that in perspective, they're smaller than a grain of sand, tinier than the width of a human hair. Some nanoplastics are so small, they could line up 100 times across a single red blood cell. At that size, your body's normal defense systems, I don't even recognize them as intruders. The craziest part? Scientists only recently developed the technology to detect these tiniest particles. In 2024, researchers looked at bottled water with new equipment and found 240,000 plastic particles per liter, 100 times more than previously thought. We've been massively underestimating how much plastic we're consuming, because we literally couldn't see most of it. And unlike that embarrassing photo from 2009 that you thought you deleted, these plastics don't just disappear, they're accumulating. Right now, in you. Let's follow a single microplastic particle. We'll call him Pete, the pet, as he takes the scenic route through your body. Pete just entered through that smoothie you had, riding alongside some innocent strawberries, your teeth useless against him, your stomach acid that can dissolve metal. Pete finds it refreshing, like a spa day. He was designed to hold acidic sodas for years. Your stomach's got nothing on him. Now Pete reaches your small intestine, and this is where things get spicy. Your intestinal wall is supposed to be like a nightclub bouncer, very selective about who gets into your bloodstream. Nutrients, VIP access. Random plastic particles? Absolutely not. But Pete is smaller than 50 micrometers, which makes him the equivalent of a molecular ninja. He slips between the cells, or gets accidentally grabbed by special cells that mistake him for something useful. Once Pete breaches the intestinal barrier, congratulations! He's in your bloodstream. This is like getting backstage passes to every organ in your body. Your blood vessels become his personal highway system, and he's about to take a tour that would make any travel blogger jealous. First stop, the liver, your body's chemical processing plant. Your liver cells are frantically trying to figure out what Pete Island. They're like, is this food? Toxin? Medicine? Nope. It's plastic, and they have absolutely no protocol for this. So Pete just stays, sets up camp, maybe makes friends with the other particles already squatting there illegally. But Pete's ambitious. He catches another ride through your bloodstream and, plot twist, ends up in your brain. Yeah? That blood-brain barrier that's supposed to be Fort Knox for your neurons? Some nanoplastics can slip through that too. Scientists found plastic in human brain tissue for the first time in 2024. And honestly, nobody was ready for that conversation. Your immune system eventually notices these invaders and sends macrophages, cellular Pac-Men that eat anything suspicious. These cellular heroes engulf Pete, ready to dissolve him with powerful enzymes and acids. Except they can't. It's like trying to digest a rock with your thoughts. The macrophages just end up carrying Pete around, like the world's worst souvenir. Sometimes for years. The really wild part? Pete isn't traveling alone. There are millions of his buddies taking similar journeys right now, setting up colonies in organs that really didn't sign up for this. Your body has become an involuntary Airbnb for plastic particles, and they're definitely not paying rent. Your immune system versus plastic is like watching a medieval knight trying to fight a Tesla. They're just not equipped for this. Your white blood cells are absolute champions at destroying bacteria, viruses, even cancer cells. But plastic? That's like asking them to punch a ghost made of industrial chemicals. Here's what happens when your immune cells encounter microplastics. First, your macrophages, the cellular garbage trucks, rush to the scene. They're programmed to engulf and destroy anything that doesn't belong. They wrap themselves around a plastic particle, swallow it whole, and then nothing. They try everything in their arsenal. Enzymes that can dissolve bacterial walls? Useless. Acids that can break down proteins? The plastic doesn't care. Oxidative bursts that would obliterate any pathogen? The plastic particle just sits there chemically immortal. So now, you have millions of confused immune cells, carrying around plastic particles they can't digest, like cellular hoarders who can't throw anything away. These frustrated macrophages start releasing inflammatory signals, basically screaming, "Something's wrong, but I don't know what to do." This chronic inflammation is where things get genuinely concerning. When your cells are constantly inflamed, they produce reactive oxygen species, molecular wrecking balls that damage everything nearby. Your DNA gets hit with oxidative stress, accumulating tiny errors, like typos in your genetic instruction manual. Scientists have observed this in lab studies. Human cells exposed to microplastics show increased DNA damage markers, cellular aging, and in some cases, they just give up and die through apoptosis, cellular suicide. The size of the plastic matters enormously here. Particles smaller than 10 micrometers can actually enter individual cells, not just get eaten by immune cells. Once inside, they interfere with normal cellular machinery. Imagine trying to run a sophisticated computer factory, but someone keeps throwing tiny plastic beads into the equipment. Mitochondria, your cellular power plants, get disrupted. Protein production gets wonky. Cell division becomes error-prone. Different plastics cause different problems. PVC and PET particles are particularly nasty, causing more oxidative stress than polystyrene. It's like different flavors of cellular chaos. Some plastics even carry electrical charges that mess with your cell's delicate electrochemical balance. The truly frightening part? Your body's reaction might be worse than the plastic itself. The chronic inflammation, the oxidative stress, the cellular dysfunction. These are the same processes that drive aging, cancer, and degenerative diseases. Your immune system, in its desperate attempt to protect you, might be causing collateral damage. That's worse than just leaving the plastic alone. Here's where things get truly sinister. Plastics aren't traveling alone. They're bringing a whole entourage of chemical troublemakers. Think of microplastics as tiny Trojan horses. Except, instead of soldiers, They're smuggling hormone-disrupting chemicals directly into your organs. And unlike the Trojans, we invited them in ourselves. Meet the gang. BPA, bisphenol A, the hormone impersonator. That tricks your body into thinking it's estrogen. Phthalates, the testosterone saboteurs that make plastics flexible and your hormones inflexible. PFAS, the so-called forever chemicals that are harder to get rid of than your ex's Netflix password. These aren't just riding on the plastic. They're actively leaching out inside you. When plastic particles sit in your warm, acidic stomach, they release these chemicals like a slow-motion poison pill. BPA doesn't just mimic estrogen. It's a molecular shapeshifter that can bind to multiple hormone receptors. Your thyroid hormones, testosterone, even insulin can get their signals scrambled. It's like someone hacking your body's communication system and sending fake messages everywhere. The reproductive system takes a particularly nasty hit. Scientists found microplastics in every human testicle they examined in 2024. Every single one. The correlation with dropping sperm counts worldwide suddenly makes horrifying sense. In women, these chemicals mess with ovarian function and have been found in placentas and breast milk. We're literally passing plastic to the next generation before they're even born. But wait, it gets worse. Your brain, that supposedly protected fortress, is getting infiltrated too. BPA can cross the blood-brain barrier and has been linked to altered neurodevelopment in children and cognitive decline in adults. Some researchers are investigating whether decades of plastic accumulation might contribute to the rising rates of neurodegenerative diseases. Imagine Alzheimer's, but partially sponsored by water bottles. These plastics also act like molecular sponges in the environment, absorbing pesticides, heavy metals, and other pollutants before you even consume them. So that microplastic from your seafood dinner? It's not just bringing phthalates. It might be delivering mercury, PCBs, and flame retardants too. It's a toxic buffet where everything is terrible, and you didn't even know you were eating. The endocrine disruption is particularly insidious because hormones work in incredibly tiny amounts. We're talking parts per trillion, so even microscopic doses of these chemicals can throw your entire system out of whack. Fertility problems, metabolic disorders, certain cancers. They're all potentially linked to this chemical cocktail we're involuntarily consuming every day. Your body is basically hosting a pharmaceutical rave it never agreed to, and the drugs are all designed to mess with your most fundamental biological processes. So, should you panic and move to a cave, surviving only on rocks and rainwater? Tempting, but unnecessary. While we can't completely escape plastics, they're literally in Arctic snow and the Mariana Trench, we can dramatically reduce our exposure. Without going full hermit, let's start with the biggest offender, bottled water. One study found it contains 240,000 plastic particles per litre. Switch to filtered tap water, and you've just eliminated your biggest source of microplastic consumption. Get a reverse osmosis or quality carbon filter. They can remove particles down to the nanoscale. This single change cuts your plastic intake by roughly 50%. Not bad for something that also saves you money. Your kitchen is a plastic battlefield, but you can win it. That non-stick pan? Every scratch releases thousands of particles. Switch to cast iron or stainless steel. They last forever and make you look like you actually know how to cook. Never, ever microwave plastic. 3 minutes in the microwave can release millions of particles into your food. Those convenient microwave meals? They're basically plastic soup with a side of pasta. Food storage needs a revolution too. Replace plastic containers with glass or steel. Stop using plastic cutting boards. A single session of chopping releases millions of particles. Wood or bamboo boards are naturally antibacterial and won't season your salad with polyethylene. And those harmless-looking tea bags? Many are made with plastic mesh. Switch to loose-leaf tea, like some kind of sophisticated person who has their life together. When shopping, choose products in glass, paper, or metal packaging. Avoid heavily processed foods. They contain significantly more microplastics than fresh alternatives. That pre-packaged salad might be convenient, but it's been rubbing against plastic for days, generating particles with every truck bump during transport. The clothing situation is trickier. Synthetic fabrics shed hundreds of thousands of microfibers per wash. You could switch entirely to natural fibers, or just wash synthetic clothes less frequently and in cold water. Installing a washing machine filter can catch 87% of microfibers. Small changes, big impact. Here's the hope. Your body is incredibly resilient. While we can't reverse existing plastic accumulation yet, reducing intake gives your systems a chance to deal with what's already there. Some researchers are even exploring ways to help our bodies eliminate plastics more efficiently. More importantly, this isn't just an individual problem. We need systemic change, better regulations, plastic alternatives, and corporate responsibility. The EU is already banning certain single-use plastics. Some companies are developing truly biodegradable alternatives. We're the first generation to realize we're accidentally eating ourselves into becoming cyborgs. But we might also be the last generation that has to. The future doesn't have to be plastic, unless we choose to make it that way.